and welcome into this week's edition of the Duval Dive. I, of course, am Kyle Nash, a student of the game of the Jaguar Report of Fan Nation. And that is the weekly news. And unfortunately, if you happen to be listening to the simulcast portion of this on the Pro Sports Fans app, you wouldn't have heard the music still going, but you would have seen my guy, Travis Holmes of BigCatCountry.com, continue to dance to the Jacksonville Jaguar Championship song. What's going on, Travis?
Hey man, I'm living the dream, doing well, brother. It's a Friday, and I'm getting ready to watch some Jaguars football. Man, it's gonna be a good weekend.
And the premier game of the week upcoming after the bye here, the 49ers head over to Everbank Stadium to the land of Duval to do battle with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And hey, objectively, looking at the slate of the games, I don't care who you're a fan of. If you're an NFL fan, you know that this Duval San Francisco matchup is clearly the best one on the docket, and I don't think it's close. I think the next best one might be Texans Bengals or Browns Ravens. I don't know. I only bring it up because the Texans are in the division. But listen, right down to the brass tacks, Travis, I know there's been so much stuff over the bye week. I see Mitch G in the chat on the Pro Sports Fans app saying it's been so long since there's been a Jags home game. That's true. I haven't been in Everbank since certainly October, the Gardner Minshew beat down there. Uncle Rico's Pain is the last game at Everbank Stadium and the second win in Everbank. Opportunity to get above 500 for the first time in Everbank for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm sure the Duval Devout are excited to see that 100%. But listen, let's go over some of the news that was. We mentioned it on our Jaguar midseason awards last week on the Duval Dive that there's a new acquisition at the guard spot. I think they're on the offensive line. Travis, tell us a little bit about that.
Hey man, Ezra Cleveland was picked up by Mr. Trent Baalke Ball. I got to give him credit. Again, it's a great move for a 6th-round draft pick to pick up
the Baalke Bowl on Saturday. I just thought of that.
I mean, oh yeah, no, that's absolutely a thing. It's a Balky revenge game. We'll call it. He ended up picking up Ezra Cleveland from the Minnesota Vikings again for a 6th-round draft pick. And they did announce that Walker Little will be the starting left guard because he's earned the right. And we know he got injured earlier. What was it, in the Buffalo game? At like 11 plays into the game, so he's going through the whole offseason learning both the tackle and guard positions. And they believe that he's better suited at least to start at this current moment in time. So he has the first opportunity to hold on to the position, and we'll see how that goes throughout the season.
Yeah, no. So I mean, that's certainly a big deal depth wise. I know that there have been some weaknesses in the interior of the line. Cleveland coming in to kind of fill that gap, I think, was a fantastic thing. Conversely, on the other side there too, the 49ers did make the acquisition of one Chase Young. I think that only makes more important Walker's return. Wasn't he like the second highest graded player according to PFF? I have my feelings about Pro Football Focus. I get it, but I know you're a stat guy, and I think it might have even been on your Twitter feed. I saw it. I forget which, but Walker,
at one point or another, he was just damn good as far as his at tackle though, and that was always the biggest piece, was how was that transition going to go from tackle to guard after Cam returned, and we never really got to see it past those first 11 plays. So I'm excited to see how he performs, and more importantly, performs after missing some time against a really good defensive front. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, 100%, and I mean that defensive front is going to be a big point of conversation for sure. Also, if we're sticking to injuries, Trent Williams, a big deal. If you're a 49er fan, you were concerned about the fact that he didn't practice early in the week. Limited practice starting yesterday. Certainly a potential factor should he take the field on Sunday. But Travis, I'll ask you this. Would you feel better about a fully healthy backup or a limited Trent Williams battling Josh Allen. I mean, listen, who really loses here over and above the 49ers is America, because I wanted a bit of that trench warfare. Two premier guys, a guy, by the way, just this past Wednesday on the Student of the Game podcast, Josh Allen, the Student of the Game mid-season Defensive Player of the Year. So that's a battle we all should have gotten to enjoy and didn't get to. So I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I could care less. I don't care if the whole team's injured. I'm here for all the wins you can get to get a home field advantage, to get Duval County as many home field Jacksonville Jaguar playoff games as possible, and we'll worry about who's healthy and who's not in the postseason. Nobody cares that San Francisco had a hurt quarterback and everything else. Last season they just say, "Hey, man, who won a Super Bowl? Let's go."
Well, I mean, yeah, people want to constantly discredit the 49ers. Oh, they got beat by the Eagles. Did they, though? I don't know. The football gods. And even listen, you can say whatever you want about the my loyalty, or however you want to put it. Like, that would be true for any football team, I dare say. But no, hey, listen, there's a reason why this show is called the Duval Dive. You're all about the Duval Life getting the wins. I can't disrespect.
Oh, and to all the fans, just an FYI, Nash, the Jaguars are Nash's second team, but the 49ers are his lifelong team, or his favorite team, I should say. Just an FYI for everyone else.
I cover the Jaguars. Them doing well helps me go to cool stuff. So I'm definitely pro Duval wins. There's no.
I got you. I just want to make sure. I want to let them behind the curtain when you say your fandom. I'm like, I don't think they know. They need to know that you actually do rep the 49ers.
Last week, when my silly self forgot that I was wearing a 49ers hat when I hit record. You may not have seen it on the Pro Sports Fans app, but I can tell you it was very silly. That being said, I mean, let's get into some of the nitty gritty. Now, we don't have game clips from the previous week, unless let's just put it this way. I tried to get the security feed from the Waffle House to get some shots of Trevor Lawrence eating breakfast. That did not go my way. But if you look in the chat, if you scroll up in the chat, you'll see some of the clips here that Travis and I will be looking at on the YouTube edition of it to kind of follow along there. But there's some interesting stuff that I think you point out in specific to where the San Francisco 49ers defense struggles a little bit. I'm going to play the clip here. But fire us through that, Travis. What's the stuff you see for the 49ers defense? What weaknesses they have?
So as you see, that touchdown from Jamar Chase was against the 49ers slot cornerback, Isaiah Oliver. And I want to make sure I mention him because the man has given up 20 receptions on 20 targets over the past four games and 3 touchdowns. And additionally, the right starting cornerback, Lenore, for the 49ers have given up the 8th most yardage among cornerbacks. So, like, they are honestly struggling over this past 3 to 4 games against a good, solid, quality receiving core. We obviously believe that the Jaguars have that, so that should be an advantage for the team. Now, I did want to mention that the second-year cornerback, Samuel Womack, he's been on IR for the 49ers since week 1. And they opened his practice window, and he's been practicing in full this week. So Oliver might be on a shorter leash. But in 49er circles, they've been raving about the fact that they want Isaiah Oliver off the field because in all the crunch scenarios, he's giving up a lot of yardage out of the slot. And that just sounds to me like a Christian Kirk. If Zay Jones plays kind of Zay Jones type of game.
God. If they're both on the field, pick your poison at that point, 100%.
Right. So that is an easy scenario where, hey, this is where we want to target. You target the slot and make him show that he's been better than he has been these last 4 weeks. Additionally, as you see, Joe Burrow had some success running the ball. So for Trevor Lawrence purposes, we've seen him do that on multiple occasions. Hey, if it's not there, take it and get out because his pass rush will be on you. I'm hoping they drill that same thing into his head and kind of keep this thing moving. But most importantly, stay out of those scenarios where the 49ers are playing more man coverage. You want them in zone. It's a weird thing, but in this case, they've had so many communication breakdowns. You want them in that cover 3 that they used to play. They used to prefer to play.
Yeah, I feel like they enjoy and played so much man coverage that when they do get into zone, they seem to be more susceptible to making that coverage breakdown error. If the Duval devout out there need an example of what that looks like, just think Tank Dell in the Texan game. That's what, that's the kind of stuff that I think the Jags can capitalize on with the Calvin Ridley in place, with the Christian Kirk in place. Heavens, if somehow or another Fred Warner is out of position for whatever reason, Evan Ingram has an opportunity to make a big play like that.
Well,
But if
do
they're,
you, do you remember the Cowboys game from last year? The Jaguars targeted Kevin Joseph so much that he got benched in that game. They
oh, I
they they
remember
benched
that now. You pointed that
right.
out. I remember. Yeah.
Right. That's if the Jaguars are to win, and you're going to know it by probably halftime, middle of the third quarter. That's the kind of scenario I'm foreshadowing to see. I'm seeing they're going to target the mess out of this guy. That there's no way his name is not underlined on a whiteboard somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah, Oliver's name, and that there's no way they're not saying we're going to make this dude quit today.
well,
That should be the game plan.
and in light of that, like if you're the 49ers and you know they're going to attack the guy, does that force you to shy from a zone coverage?
Well, they haven't done it. Again, we're talking 4 weeks in a row. It just hasn't been done, and it's been curious because they're still limited with their new defensive coordinator. Because again, the old coordinator's not coaching the Texans. Wilks has kind of struggled.
Bang up job with the Texans in question, right? Exactly.
Right. So Wilson's kind of struggled. I mean, they're bringing him from the booth to the sideline this week, just because they need to change things up and they want to have more communication and him having to being in the guys' faces to stop the coverage bust. Like it's to the point where they are trying to figure things out, and this is the opportunity for the Jaguars to don't let them. While they're trying to figure it out, you keep attacking. So I'm looking forward to that piece.
Well, and here's some of the elements too that make the 49ers defense dangerous. I mean, first of all, in that man coverage, when they lock you down, you see right here in the video what happens to Joseph Lee Burrow there as he gets smashed, right? And I think they may be more inclined to go to that man coverage despite any worries about Oliver or whoever it is, because they also have Chase Young on the docket now too. Now, granted, there are a lot of scenarios where the Niners are good. No question. They got Pro Bowlers up and down the list. But I mean, I think this is where you were mentioning Trevor running was such a big deal too. And I see you got the clip in there too with Chase Young still wearing his Commander's helmet there too, showing his force and how he get in there too. But I guess the question I'm formulating is if and when man is successful, Oliver, I don't think is going to blow every snap,
Right.
I think Trevor Lawrence running here is going to be in a big element of this game. And also Travis Etienne just in conventional handoffs, keeping things spread, balanced to where you got to keep that group guessing, right?
No, absolutely. And the biggest piece of that is you want to have a lead. You want to be successful on offense early. It was something that I was just mentioning early this morning. It's actually impacts both sides of the ball for the 49ers as of late. Is one, Brock Purdy plays worse when they're down, and it's not even close. Like his passer rating drops more than 30 points when the 49ers are trailing, and we're talking just trailing a point. And it sort of remains to see whether or not he can come back in crunch time consistently. So the biggest piece of this is make him want to be Superman, make him want to shoulder the team on his back. And even going back to his college days, that was something that he always struggled with. Is sometimes he would get a little bit outside of himself because he's so aggressive.
Wow.
Like he's smart but also aggressive. So that's the biggest piece is you want to be successful early. And the Jaguars, as of late, have been a little bit better at doing that. Now, are they going to be able to do that with this great? I say great because first 5 weeks of the season, this team was great, and they had some injury issues.
Yeah,
Right.
The roster is still great. And let's be clear, we can talk about injury issues all we want to for the offense. At the end of the day, there's only one major injury. And I'm going to go after your stat about the second half and struggling from behind and all that other stuff. They've only lost 3 games. They just happen to be the past 3 weeks. Personally, as somebody, and I get it. If you're a 49er fan, calling them the 17ers would be appropriate for the past month worth of football because in all 3 games, they've only scored 17 points. It's literally the number they've been sporting. But I don't think as much Brock Purdy having issues coming from behind, which is more difficult to do in the NFL. I'm not cheapening that. But I think that that number also correlates very conveniently with with Trent Williams missing. I think what's essential for the Jaguars to be successful is for the defense to figure out quickly what Trent Williams is actually capable of doing with an accurate picture. Is he slowing Josh Allen? Can you open up for a potential stunt or something to get in there? Also, internally, something that you and I were talking about before we start, they're going to have a backup guard in place. Aaron Brooks is on the injury report. Falaransu Fatukasi may have a big day today, and I'm looking for that. What about you, Travis?
Bingo. That's the biggest piece. That's the biggest place where Brock struggles as far as pressure is concerned. It's not the tackles. Everyone's talking about Josh Allen, and rightfully so. The man is, a potential defensive player of the year candidate. He may not win it, but he's absolutely in that conversation.
He is the student of the game midseason defensive player of the year, and no one can take that away from him.
Right. So he's there, and we're talking about him rightfully so. However, for this team, inside pressure is what they've been consistently giving up, and inside pressure is what would be a problem with Aaron not playing. Again, he was week to week as of last week, as of the bye week, and he has not practiced this week at all. He's unlikely to play. So with them having a backup left guard and potentially whether or not Trent Williams plays, we don't know at this current moment in time. It's quite possible. There's a scenario where the entire left side of their line is playing backups. Hey, this is the game. You talked about stunts. Yeah, that's absolutely. Devon Hamilton, Smoot, Adam Goskis, Roy Robertson, etc. Hey man, have a day. Like this is what we need. Don't allow him to step up in the pocket, and let's see what this looks like for them.
Yeah, that defensive tackle core is sneaky good. They're not Buffalo Bills good, but they're very good. I appreciate what they do in that part of it 100%. But they're both equally underrated. That's why I mentioned that Bills connection there. Offensively, I have to say, the Jags. I'll ask you, Travis. Okay. Have we seen 60 minutes of offense? I mean, not but a full game's worth of offense from this team yet? Because I don't think so, right?
We have not. And honestly, this is something that Press Taylor kind of admitted yesterday on Thursday in his media availability. I just wrote about it on Thursday on BigCatCountry.com. Yeah, he essentially stated that, hey, we have to be better. There are some things that we just take a look at over the bye week, and at the end of the day, we have to do better, not turning the ball over in those scoring positions. He just basically had that come to Jesus moment, if you will call it, and just, hey, we've left, what was it, 8 turnovers within field goal range in the past 8 games. So essentially, that's the equivalent of we've left 3 to 7 points per game this season on the field, just with those turnovers. We're not even talking about turnovers in other parts of the field. We're talking about literally in field goal range, and a lot of those have taken place inside of the actual red zone. So we are talking significant points that we're just leaving out there and still finding ways to win. That is a showing of a good team, but also a showing of a team that needs to figure that out. Now, we have to figure that out. And if we can have a clean game in which we don't do that, all of a sudden you are talking, all right, this Jaguars team is going to be dangerous, man.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and here's the question I would ask, and I'll even throw this to the chat on PSF there for those who are listening to it. I mean, the way you can listen to this show on this many platforms through the Pro Sports Fans app, on iHeartRadio with the 3-point conversion, on A7BN Sports through old school 101.com on Sunday leading into the game, while our good friend Captain Chris Hill and myself will be driving to Everbank. By the way, for those on the Pro Sports Fans app, look for a post-game live reaction from Everbank, as I'll be talking about and wrapping up the game from there. We'll see if I can do it from the field. We'll see what happens. But all that bing aside that I just did there, also look for whatever my write-up will be for the Jaguar report from this game as well. Bing! But here's where I'm at. And you know, we could talk about loyalties and fandoms. I am just a football guy writing about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am looking to do an offense-based article that I haven't had the chance to do since Travis Etienne in week 2 with the Texans. I think I might have done something else where, of course, I have to loosely mention Travis Etienne because he's been amazing. But as far as the weapons go, who do you think if you morph into to Josh Peterson, the guy who wrote the book or a book on offense after winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles, right? How do you what's the main weapon you're using here? I mean, you're talking about attacking Oliver. Do you do that by moving around the field? How do you what's the main focus here?
Well, honestly, that was one of my biggest concerns, the biggest issues within this game is the question mark of Zay Jones. Because if Zay plays, that's a Zay Jones, Kirk Cousins, goodness, Christian Kirk week, Christian Kirk week, and we've done this. We've done this going back to last year. Everybody knows it walking into a game. Hey, this is a Zay Jones week. This is a Kirk week. This is an Ingram week, etc. You just know it walking into the game, and it's exactly how it happens. Well, that's my preference here. However, the team has struggled significantly in pivoting when Zay doesn't play, or when they prepare the whole week like Zay is going to play and then he gets re-injured or something along those lines, and just press having to figure that out. They just haven't been able to find that third guy who's going to be able to be put in the slot where it is beneficial for Jacksonville because they're coming off the bye week. They've had a full week to figure that out. They at that point you can play more more sets with, you have Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley on the same side, and then you're just targeting whichever one of them is in the slot because they both can play it. Cool, and you just have whoever your third receiver backside, and we'll figure that out. That's dope. That's fine, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm looking for, more of those situations. And if Zay plays, this is a lot easier of a conversation because honestly, if Zay plays, I think the Jag win. If they don't play, it's going to be a closer game. It's going to be a close game either way, but that's kind of where I'm leaning with that because the Jaguars will need to be able to pass the ball, but they'll need to close the game out running it. So that goes back to Travis Etienne, but that also goes back to who's going to play that slot to be able to truly challenge them in the position that the 49ers have struggled with, again, 4 weeks straight.
Well, and to make that happen, they're going to need to buy a lot of time in the backfield. We talked about Chase Young and Fred Warner, but we would be foolhardy to not bring up the man Nick Bosa himself. And a lot of teams have shown success throwing chips from basically anywhere they can think to, just the kitchen sink at
Bingo.
this guy here too. Like the videos in the chat on the PSF app, but here, if you look down bottom side of the form, just a bink, and he's on his way out right there. And right. Oh, by the way, happens to also get the catch because the middle of the field's so wide open. I mean, just anything that buys Trevor Lawrence an extra second, and we've seen how good Trevor's been, not only protecting the football when he runs and himself, generally speaking, but his ability to wait till that last moment and still not make a mistake with the football. And listen, with him, seconds can kill a defense, and that extra little pink on Bosa would be helpful. I would even add this, Travis. Etienne. Yeah, I didn't want to say. I would even add this, Travis. That would be confusing. I would even add this, Travis. Etienne has been excellent in protection as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he too was utilized in some of this chip action. Anything that could keep him from widening out and blowing past either Anton Harrison or Cam Robinson, whatever it is, wherever it is they line him up, however that might work out. And with that in mind, listen, I think the trial by fire for Harrison continues, whether he's getting Chase Young or Nick Bosa. Not a simple assignment. Another big day for the rookie where he's going to need to step up big.
Oh no, I fully agree. This is going to be just, again, one of those baptism by fires in the Doug Peterson phrasing games where it may not be them putting him on an island, but again, the Jaguars so far in 2023 have been a top 3 team as far as leaving their tackles on an island. It's as weird as it is, it's been the case, and whether or not they're struggling, whether or not they're doing well, this is kind of what they've shown us they're going to do. And unless that's changed over the bye week, unless they've done some self-scouting and figured out maybe we need to do it for this game because they have a guy on both sides or something along those lines, that's probably what we should expect. So this is a game where it's going to be mano a mano. Are you going to be able to beat, these dominant defensive, the dominant edges? And that's going to be an interesting one-on-one battle. And also Trevor getting the ball out quickly. That might be the whole New Orleans Saints matchup game plan where it needs to be 2.5 seconds every time, or just running that ball, like kind of what we talked about earlier.
And then maybe you catch him sitting up and you get Ridley over the top. And then I would also say, as a side note too, that Trevor's running ability has been huge in his protection as well. Because if you do overcommit, maybe you beat Anton Harrison or Cam Robinson outside. You do then leave a giant gap in the 3 or 5 hole there, and Trevor has shown he could take advantage and get those extra yards, especially if Fred Warner's bailing out to cover Evan Ingram. I can't front on that. Well,
you're only saying Fred Warner, but we're forgetting about the other what was it? The other linebacker for San Francisco. I forget. I'm drawing a blank, but he's the top coverage linebacker in the NFL. He's the Sam linebacker for San Fran. And I'm drawing a blank right now, and it stinks because I had it written down earlier, and I think I just might have deleted it by mistake. But nevertheless, he has a 91 rating of on PFF. He's the best coverage linebacker in the NFL, and that's a big matchup. Sometimes this is going to come down to the best guys versus the best guys. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Again, it's going to be a great thing. But can I just say this last piece is the biggest opportunity in this game that we just didn't have a chance to talk about, and I just want to just quickly mention it. Brock Purdy's turnover-worthy plays. They talked about it in San Francisco circles. His turnover-worthy plays, basically plays that should have been interceptions, whether or not they were, has increased more than twofold since 2022. And that's been the biggest thing when you're going against a defense that is best in the league at forcing turnovers. Cool. So if the Jaguars, if they're going to keep getting their hands on the ball, and they have Cisco coming back and Campbell coming back, that sounds like a good situation. Just don't drop the picks. I hope they're on the jugs machines. I hope they're eating that Wheaties. I hope they're putting Stickum on their gloves, man, because that could absolutely be a 2 to 3 interception game, like against the Cincinnati Bengals. And for those of you actually Cincinnati actually did have 3 interceptions, but one of them got called back for a penalty. So Purdy's putting the ball on the defender's hands. I just hope the Jaguars can hold on to him.
You wouldn't be talking about Burks, would you? Oren Burks? Is that the linebacker?
Yes. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
It was drawing me. Yeah, he's solid, man. He had to pick against what was it, the Cowboys? And I was like, dang, that came from the other half.
One would have to ask which one when it comes to that game, but that's a month ago now, so we won't even talk that trash. But Travis, tell the world what you think is going to happen.
I think Zay doesn't play. I think he's going to need another week. And with that, I think it's going to be a real challenge of a game back and forth. Who's going to win those individual matchups? And if the Jaguars play a clean game, I do see them beating the 49ers. However, we haven't seen that clean game just yet. So I'm probably going to lean 49ers 24, Jaguars 23. But I am talking a real true back and forth squeaker.
That's a really high score you're pointing out there. And you're
really 24-23?
Absolutely. I said it. By the way, the bet for this game is the under, folks. Okay. You're going to come at me talking about clean games when we have a 49er defense, and your Duval Devout will tell you and remind you of a stat you just dropped that this team leads in takeaways. And you think they're going to get 44 points combined? I don't.
Our team turns the ball over too. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who's going to be clean.
That's what makes it sloppy. Both sides are going to make mistakes. That's my point. There is no cleanliness. Okay, Mr. Clean should not be advertising this week in this slot. That's what I'm telling you. If you want to advertise your Mr. Clean products, do it on Fox this week, because this is AFC hosted game, and CBS will not be showing anything clean if this is on the TV.
Okay.
That being said, the closeness of it, I think you have right. I think this is going to be slobber knocker. Whoever gets to 20 points, I think wins the game. For me, I got 2017 Niners for this one. The Niners are getting 3 points, so I would actually bet, are giving up 3 points. So don't bet this game this way, but I would bet the Jags because I want that field goal. I think it'll be that close.
Yeah.
But granted, I think that was the spread back on Tuesday. I don't know what it is now here on Friday. But yeah, all the above to say, I have the Niners in an absolute close one. You're absolutely right. It'll be trench warfare. I think a Fred Warner interception makes the difference, and I don't think it'll be something that will necessarily be Trevor's fault. I think it'll be something where and Anton Harrison gets beat one time and Trevor's forced into a mistake.
I got you.
Yeah, I don't think, again, not to say that there won't be mistakes made. Let's just say that Brock will make plenty of throws that aren't Purdy. Anyways, no. So with that in mind, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Travis Holmes, tell the people.
Hey man, I can be found on all the socials, Travis D Holmes. Yeah, you can find me here every Friday at 11:15 a.m. on the Duval Dive, a Jaguars podcast, and you can also find me on the PSF app. You can find me on Tuesdays on the South Florida Tribune Inside the Pigskin podcast, also, and find all of my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars on BigCatCountry.com.
Awesome stuff, Travis. Thank you once again. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram and Threads as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writing with the Jaguar Report of Fan Nation for SI and also the 3-point conversion. Check out also the 3-point conversion iHeartRadio channel, as well as the YouTube channel where I do a wrap up there too as well. Also here, check out the PSF app. I'm going to do a post game on site from Everbank Stadium tomorrow. And then the next road game, Travis and I will be back for a watch along. So check that out. That'll be 2 weeks because the Titans are in Everbank the following Sunday. So,
Right.
you know, you might have to wait till after Turkey Day. Or no, actually, it would be after then. That would be the Houston game, I believe I'm talking about at that point, if I have my math right. Someone can correct me, but yeah, so all the above in mind. Also look out for my work with A7B in Sports and oldschool101.com, as well as on Saturday, I will be at FPC Mortgage Stadium, the Bounce House, as UCF hosts Oklahoma State with the black and gold banneret. I think that's everything. So anyways, thanks to my guy Winder and Mitch in the chat for joining us there on the Pro Sports Fans app. An honor, joy, and privilege. But until next time, everyone, class dismissed.
Play that theme music. Everybody on the app don't hear the music. Come on.
We're already out the screen.
Yeah, I know.